I heard people talking about Tim Walz.
In 91 days, the nation will know Coach Walz by another name, Vice President of the United States.
I've heard people talking about him and singing his praises way before any of this happened because of his role as a legislator in Minnesota. There's a whole thread about it here. We're doing Twitter research today, okay? We're being lazy. So this is him signing the legislation. Remember we spoke about this, we spoke about this just a few times. I didn't actually know it was him who was behind it. Was signing into law free breakfast and lunch for all school students. I didn't actually know that this was him. I just know that this happened in Minnesota.
It is now law.
My legs hurt. What the
Good job, Webster.
So apparently Republicans are calling him a pedo now. So, okay. Midwestern dad. Yeah, because he comes from like a really, really small town. And, you know, he was a teacher. He was a fucking coach. He was a veteran from the National Guard. So it's like, he's basically, married with 2 kids and shit. He's basically everything that right-wing trad fuckheads like kind of think they are, but most often are not. Yeah. Last year, Walz signed into a law enacting a paid family and medical leave, giving workers up to 20 weeks off. Paid family and medical leave seemed like a pipe dream for 10 years. Okay, yeah. Right to repair law. Oh yeah, this is to do with fucking repair shops. Financial aid program, giving free college tuition to students whose families made less than 80K a year. Oh. Apparently, if you're less than 80K a year in the United States, that's like poverty line, isn't it? That's like this is pretty normal in the UK. Like we have repair shops like very close to the Apple shops. It's like pretty normal. Because the whole meme was if you got a cracked screen or whatever, you go to Apple and they'll just say, get a new phone. Get a new phone. I'm not saying this is an Apple employee, just saying this is a human being, okay? I literally heard someone say that once. But then you go to the repair shop and they're like, yeah, £20. Get you a new screen. Bad boy. Banned non-compete agreements and captive audience meetings. The first standards board for nursing home workers. Setting a minimum wage. Ooh, $23. Ban on junk fees. We read about this on the Ohio research. He just looks very likable as well. He's got a very likable face. So, banning junk fees. Businesses can no longer add service fees, health and wellness surcharges, or other mandatory charges to customers' bills, forcing businesses to advertise the true price of a good or service, rather than listing a lower price while charging a significant service fee at the end of a transaction. Oh, yeah. Right, I remember this in New York when they were like this. I was in America and they're like, this thing costs, whatever, $20. And then by the end, it's like 25. I'm like, what the fuck happened? What? Did inflation happen? Is this like Weimar Germany where you order a coffee, but like it doubles in price by the time you're finished it and you have to pay? Oh God. Common sense legislation, eh? For simple laws for simple Americans. He hasn't even been a politician for that much of his life, wasn't he? I think he was in his 40s when he started going into politics. But the fact that they've decided to go with what? Tampon Tim. That seems to be the attack line now, because he also put through legislation that I think resulted in free tampons in school bathrooms, right? But I think it included tampons in girls' and boys' bathrooms. So now they decided to call him Tampon Tim. Libs of TikTok and shit. They're really fucking themselves. I want to read the actual law. Requires menstrual products to be available in bathrooms of all schools for grades 4 to 12. Products like pads, tampons, and other products used for menstruation must be available to all menstruating students in restrooms regularly used by students in grades 4 to 12. Republican state lawmakers in Minnesota tried and failed to amend the bill so that it would apply to only female restrooms, though some Republicans went on to vote for the final version of the bill. Oh, so it was originally for all bathrooms, like a neutral thing, and then Republicans tried to make it only for female bathrooms. Some for the Trump campaign said it was a threat to women's health. Why are Republicans so fucking retarded? There's so much, like, it's all negativity. It's all this shit, and it's incoherent negativity as well. There's no greater threat to our health than leaders who support gender transition surgeries for young minors, who support putting tampons in men's bathrooms in public schools. Is he in favor of gender transition surgeries for young minors. Is that what Tim Walz has put through as well? I haven't heard of that one. All right, protect gender affirming care. I'm guessing this would just be allowing doctors to make the decisions. So people from other states as well as Minnesota to receive gender affirming care. Singled out South Dakota for banning care for minors. Just so you guys know, even where it's allowed, where it's completely legal, barely anyone gets surgery before they're 18, and like basically no one. Apparently, I also heard, someone told me this, but I can't find the actual fucking article about it. People say that like Minnesota is not a swing state, like it's a blue state. But didn't Tim Walz actually oversee a swing within a region of Minnesota in the rural district? Like he turned like a rural part of Minnesota from red to blue. Is there any article about that? He flipped a county that hadn't had a Dem since 1800. Why can't I find anything about this? Why can't I see? I'll look at, okay, let's maybe see this. Record, okay. Are they gonna mention county? Swing?
Fuck.
2006. Oh. He flipped his Minnesota U.S. House seat from red to blue, becoming the highest ranking enlisted veteran ever in Congress. Okay, there we go. I feel like they don't really sing this part very loud. They just kind of mention it in passing. Oh, like where's that 1800 stats come from? He learned not only how to win as Democrat in a conservative-minded area, his initial 2006 victory was one of the biggest House upsets that year, how to defend and sell progressive policies to skeptical white working-class voters. He survived the 2010 Republican landslide that buried most other similarly situated Democrats, withstood the undertow from Trump's runaway 15-point victory over Clinton in southern Minnesota, ran for governor. So he did actually survive Republican swings in rural Minnesota. Cool. So the whole idea there is that he's very good at convincing white bumpkins to go with progressive policies. That's pretty cool.
Like all regular people I grew up with in the heartland, JD studied at Yale, had his career funded by Silicon Valley billionaires, and then wrote a bestseller trashing that community. Come on! That's not what middle America is. And I gotta tell you, I can't wait to debate the guy.
He's so happy.
That is if he's willing to get off the couch and show up. So, you see what I did there?
He reminds me of my uncle. He's got my uncle's face. I have an uncle who's like English, and they look the same. They do those faces like they're when they tell jokes and shit. Oh God, he's such a dad. Okay. Republicans are reaching levels of cooked we haven't seen since FDR. Lol, those are the Democrats, Kyle. How tight is this beanie? I feel like we're gonna start to see bits of fucking brain squeezing out of here like a little Play-Doh machine. 49 state landslide. Is that why his eyes are a little bit red? Is it like the blood? Are there issues with the blood flow?
Good evening. Good evening. Oh, it is good to be back in Pennsylvania. So let me say, on behalf of myself and the first, second gentleman of the United States, my husband, Doug Emhoff, thank you for the warm welcome. And let me just say, it's good to be here with all of the friends, all of the leaders who are here. I want to thank former Governor Ed Rendell, Senator Bob Casey, who we will re-elect this November, Senator John Fetterman, Mayor Sherelle Parker, and Chairman Jamie Harrison. And it is so good to be here with your incredible Governor, Josh Shapiro. And I will say, Josh is a dear, dear friend and an extraordinary leader. He and I have been spending a lot of time together over the years. And I told Josh, look, I am so invested in our friendship in doing this together, because together with Josh Shapiro, we will win Pennsylvania. We will win Pennsylvania. And I thank you, Josh. I thank you. So, Philadelphia, I launched my campaign for the President of the United States a mere 2 weeks ago. And it's been a bit of a whirlwind. And just last night, the delegates to the Democratic National Convention finished voting. And so I stand before you today to proudly announce I am now officially the Democratic nominee for President of the United States. And so now we got some work to do. We need to move to the general election and win that. And to all the friends, listen, we also need to level set. We are the underdogs in this race. But we have the momentum, and I know exactly what we are up against. Now, many of you know, before I was elected vice president or elected a United States senator, I was an elected attorney general, and before that, elected district attorney. And before that, I was a courtroom prosecutor. So in those roles, I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators.
Oh, she's going to do the Trump line. She's going to say Trump's a convicted felon, 34 counts.
Who abuse
She's going to do the
women.
thing. Boo.
Fraudsters who scammed consumers.
Boo.
Cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain.
Oh.
So hear me when I say...
Uh-oh. It's coming. She's loading up.
I know Donald Trump's type.
Oh my God, she did the thing. Lock him up, lock him up, lock him. They're going to chat, lock him up.
So, but let me just say, hold on. This campaign, our campaign, is not just a fight against Donald Trump. Our campaign, this campaign, is a fight for the future. It's a fight for the future. In Pennsylvania, we fight for a future with affordable housing, affordable health care, affordable child care, paid leave.
For an extreme Marxist-Leninist, communist, Satanist, Walz asked surprisingly like a nice, sane Midwestern guy who just wants to help normal people. Well, yeah, that's the thing. It didn't work with Obama either. Like, if you try to call someone a communist and then they come out and they're just like some regular old fucking hockey dad or whatever, like a nuclear family, fucking National Guard, and you're like, oh, really? Okay, shit. I guess communism's okay then. Not that scary.
Fight for a future where we build a broad-based economy, where every American has the opportunity to own a home, to start a business, and to build wealth. We fight for a future where we bring down prices that are still too high, and lower the cost of living for America's families, so that they have a chance not just to get by, but to get ahead. We fight for a future where we defend our most fundamental freedoms: the freedom to vote, the freedom to be safe from gun violence, the freedom to love who you love openly and with pride, and the freedom of a woman to make decisions about her own body, not having her government tell her what to do.
God, Tim is going fucking mental with the clapping.
So, I love you too. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. Since the day that I announced my candidacy, I set out to find a partner who can help build this brighter future. A leader who will help unite our nation and move us forward. A fighter for the middle class. A patriot who believes, as I do, in the extraordinary promise of America. A promise of freedom, opportunity, and justice, not just for some, but for all. So, Pennsylvania, I'm here today because
I wonder what Walz is thinking right now. He's thinking, yeah, 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 clap, yeah. That's what he's thinking. What's wrong with that?
I found such a leader. Governor Tim Walz of the great state of Minnesota.
From the home of Brock Lesnar. Yeah. They should get the Brock Lesnar endorsement. That would be so cool. And he does the thing where he comes to the rally in his fucking shorts, making his titties dance and flexing, not saying anything. That would be so based.
To those who know him best, Tim is more than a governor. To his wife, Gwen, he is a husband. To his kids, Hope and Gus, he is a dad. To his fellow veterans, he is Sergeant Major Walz. To the people of southern Minnesota, for 12 years, he was congressman. To his former high school students, he was Mr. Walz. To his former high school football players, he was coach.
Coach.
And in 91 days, the nation will know Coach Walz by another name, Vice President of the United States. For some folks, they're just getting to know Coach Walz's story. And I'll tell you, he is the proud product of a middle-class family in rural Nebraska. He is a veteran who served our nation in uniform for more than 2 decades as a member of the Army National Guard, and he went to college on the GI Bill. He is someone who, long before he entered politics, worked as a teacher. When Coach Walz...
What the fuck? Oh, no. We forgot the libertarian opinion. Oh, shit. We didn't even consider the libertarian flank. Coming in with the... Tim Walz has been a leech his entire life. Public school teacher, politician, veteran. Oh no. Shit. Ooh.
And his wife Gwen moved from his native Nebraska to Minnesota nearly 30 years ago.
Hasn't even ground his axioms on the age of consent. I'll bet he doesn't. I'll bet he could never explain why an 18-year-old can consent but a 17-year-old can't. Oh no. He could never handle one hour in the crucible debating that topic, Tim Walz. He'd just be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
They both took jobs at the local high school. Coach Walz taught social studies, Gwen taught English. After school, Tim was the linebackers coach for the football team. Where I've heard the stories about he had a knack for using the game of football to teach life lessons.
Oh.
He saw the potential in kids who sometimes didn't even see it in themselves.
Oh.
Under those Friday night lights, Coach Walz motivated his players to believe they could achieve anything. And together, they defied the odds, hear this out, going from a winless record to the school's first ever state championship.
Oh, really?
And I'll say and I'll add, Tim wasn't only a role model on the football field. Around that same time, Coach Walz was approached by a student in his social studies class. The young man was one of the first openly gay students at the school and was hoping to start a gay-straight alliance. At a time when acceptance was difficult to find for LGBTQ students, Tim knew the signal that it would send to have a football coach get involved. So he signed up to be the group's faculty advisor. And as students have said, he made the school a safe place for everybody. In the high school yearbook, the students voted Coach Walz the, quote, most inspiring faculty member. And as I think everyone here can see, Tim Walz was the kind of teacher and mentor that every child in America dreams of having, and that every kid deserves. The kind of coach, because he's the kind of person who makes people feel like they belong and then inspires them to dream big. And that's the kind of vice president he will be. And that's the kind of vice president America deserves. So it was Coach Walz's students who actually helped him decide to run for office. And he served 12 years in Congress, representing a purple district as he reached across the aisle to get things done. He was the highest ranking enlisted man to ever serve in the United States Congress.
Big military fucking rep.
And
this is like, it's funny because he's getting the Israel effect. He's really progressive and shit, but like because he's got that high military experience, he can get away with it, you know? That's like the cover. It's like Israeli left-wing prime ministers, right?
Democrat on the Veterans Committee. And he was known as one of Capitol Hill's best marksmen, winning a bipartisan sharpshooting contest year after year. In Washington, Tim worked to raise the minimum wage, to protect the freedom of workers to join a union, And he cast one of the critical votes to pass the Affordable Care Act. Which, of course, gave health insurance to tens of millions of Americans.
We're going to mention the breakfast and lunch.
Tim and I will continue to make the Affordable Care Act even stronger.
Oh, God. I just read the chat.
We will win. Now, let's talk about what we're dealing with on the other side.
Uh-oh.
So on that last topic, if Donald Trump gets the chance, he will end the Affordable Care Act. And take us back to a time when insurance companies had the power to deny people with pre-existing conditions. You remember what that was like? Children with asthma, breast cancer survivors, grandparents with diabetes. Well, Governor Walz and I will not let that happen. Because we believe health care should be a right and not just a privilege for those who can afford it. As governor, Tim has continued to fight for working families. He secured paid leave for workers in Minnesota. And he refused, as governor, to allow any student in their public schools to go hungry. So he made school breakfast and lunch free for every child.
Is this just like a picture of him with his family? Is that what this is? It was that guy. Who is that fucking weird Twitter user who was posting a picture of Tim Walz and his family? Because it's like his wife and 2 kids.
Texting and...
No. I think it's actually mostly bald men.
Cut. All right, once again, Minnesotans, we're here making sure millennials are putting down the phone. And
I think it's actually adults, Dad. Like older people like you.
Cut.
Hey guys, this is Hope Walz and I'm here with my dad, Governor Walz, and we're just here talking about the new hands-free law, and I'm just going to show him how to prop his phone up so it's not in his hand and he can still see his navigation. All right, just like this.
Cut. Hey, Minnesota, Governor Tim Walz here. What in the... Governor Walz here trying to get rid of a child for anyone. On the 1st of August, Minnesota's new law is hands-free, making sure teens
It's like
texting.
it's like a fucking sitcom. It's like Home Improvement or some shit. Like they need canned laughter in the background. What was it? The guy. Yeah, what's his name? Mannarino or whatever. He posted a picture of Waltz's family and didn't leave any comment. And then I think he just said, yeah, just posting this up for anyone to identify any issues. I'm like, what the fuck? Where is it? Oh God, he tweets actually inanely. Look at this. 5 hours, 7 hours, 16 hours, 17 hours. Okay, I'm never going to find it. Fuck. Where's the one? Tim Walz is a Somalian. If you don't understand it, Google it. Who the fuck is this guy? He just appeared on my feed out of fucking nowhere last week with the most brain rot shit. Is he real? Is he wait. Is he a real person? There's no way I've been getting triggered all week. But by a bot. No, he's not. He's not a real person. He's not. He's a real person, right? He tried to impersonate a black woman last week. Was that the guy who said it as a black woman, but he forgot to change accounts? New Jersey? Yeah, there's very, very Jersey Shore vibes. There's no way he's a fake person because... How is this election integrity when anyone can drop any ballot in this box? Look at the media. He made pedophiles a protected class in Minnesota. Did he? I don't think that's true. I feel like we'd know. Where's the picture that this guy put of Tim Walz's family? But people were like, why are you doing this? Weird. Does anyone know which picture I'm talking about? It did the rounds. Yeah, this is Tim Walz's family. Like, look at them. They're just kind of hanging around. Just nice looking nuclear family. Seriously, Tim Walz is weird. Where's the reply? Oh yeah, just sharing will let others find problems if there are any. What? They're confused because this is what a happy family looks like to them. Okay. Even outside of the context, this would just be like whatever as well. You know, his face looks weird, but if you didn't know who any of these guys were, you'd just think, yeah, standard wealthy white trash family photo. But this is just, what? Okay, he doesn't look like he wants to be there, but, you know, he's probably a teenage boy. Of course he doesn't want to fucking be there. He's just thinking about Fortnite or, I don't know, Powerade.
And Tim Walz and I, we agree about many things, including when our middle class is strong, America is strong. And strengthening the middle class will be my defining goal as I am President of the United States. So Pennsylvania, ours is a fight for the future of the middle class, and it is a fight for freedom. In this moment, we are witnessing a full-on attack against hard-fought, hard-won freedoms and rights.
Hard.
Take reproductive freedom.
Uh-oh.
Now think about this. Donald Trump said he wants to punish women. And as a result of his actions, today in America, 1 out of 3 women live in a state with a Trump abortion ban. 1 out of 3. Some of these bans go back to the 1800s, even before women had a right to vote. Think about that. Well, Tim and I have a message for Trump and others who want to turn back the clock on our fundamental freedoms. We're not going back.
Who's mic'd up for that chat?
And so let me say about Tim Walz, he has shown up to stand
A
against.
small suggestion, since the election season is coming, 2 claims are going to come up again and again with right-wing debates. One being that Kamala bailed out BLM rioters, other being that Walz allowed the BLM riots to happen by not sending the National Guard, or that he used his daughter to leak in advance when the National Guard was going to come. Might want to go through the second one. He used his daughter to... What's this fucking guy saying? Walz allowed the rioting to happen and Kamala helped bail them out. Vance needs to know the numbers by heart. How many buildings needed to be condemned, how many businesses lost, and how many rioters had their charges dropped. So he took 24 hours to get the National Guard in. I think it was 2 days after the George Floyd riots, there was a request for 600 National Guard troops. And on the 3rd day, the National Guard was deployed through an executive order. So that's the first one. With Kamala bailing them out, none of the people that Kamala bailed out went on to commit crimes through that fund. She just supported one fund through a tweet, and none of the people who were arrested in those riots who were eligible for bail, because they would have been found eligible for bail, regardless of whether or not more money went to them. Yeah, this guy's he's a bit of a dickhead, this Fitzgerald guy. He also has this very impressive way of debating that he just doesn't really ever change his tone or delivery regardless of what's happening in the debate. Like, he can be wrong on like everything or just be like fucking caught out in a million different points, but he'll just keep on talking like nothing happened. Yeah, he's very flat.
These attacks, long before he stood on the stage with me. After Roe was overturned, he was the first governor in the country to sign a new law that enshrined reproductive freedom as a fundamental right.
Trump does not have a good record with calling the National Guard because of January 6th. So yeah, what was Trump's thing with the National Guard? Because I know that he had that conversation with Milley where he said he considered the National Guard, but he never actually made in a request. Was he expected to bring the National Guard in on January 6th? But he also doesn't like the people who rioted on January 6th got fucking jailed, right? So I get that bit. Kamala supported a bail fund with a tweet. She promoted a bail fund. Trump actually wants people who rioted on January 6th to have their charges dropped, promising to pardon them if he's elected. Okay, we'll go into that.
And with Tim Walz...
Has there been anything like that from Kamala? Pardoning BLM rioters? Or Biden? Ever anything? Claims that Biden is pardoning 2,617 BLM protesters. This is a fact check from Reuters, all right. I would bet no as well. I think we would have heard of that if they pardoned BLM rioters. The article was intended as satire. Oh, okay. No.
By my side, when I am President of the United States and we win majorities in the United States Congress, we will pass a bill to restore reproductive freedom, and I will proudly sign it into law. Tim Walz has also defended the sacred freedom to vote. As governor, he signed the most significant expansion of voting rights in Minnesota in over 50 years.
So wait, if we're getting talking about the only person who's ever promised to or offered to pardon rioters is Trump then, right? To actually like acquit them of their charges, like as a president. Yeah, okay.
And with Governor Walz's help, when I am president, we are going to finally pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act and the Freedom to Vote Act. We're going to get it done. So Tim is a hunter and a gun owner who believes, as the majority of gun owners do, that we need reasonable gun safety laws in America. So as governor, he expanded background checks and increased penalties for illegal firearm sales.
Okay, then you have to anticipate talking points as well. So we say that Walz called in the National Guard through executive order a day after he was asked to. Then they would say, well, I thought the issue with Trump was that he waited 3 hours to call off the rioters in BLM. Then you would say, well, in January 6th, well, sorry, the difference is that the BLM rioters were not in Minneapolis or the rest of Minnesota because of Tim Walz. They were not there for him. Right, yeah, okay. The connection is not nearly the same as it was for Trump. Okay.
And together, when we win in November, we are finally going to pass universal background checks, red flag laws, and an assault weapons ban.
He owned up to it. Did Tim Walz ever say anything about this? Because I know that the cops said that he was too late, that one day was still too late. But like he hesitated for a day, yeah. What's he ever said about it? Torched Minneapolis to the ground. Burned, looted, or damaged 1,500 buildings, $500 million in damage. 3 nights of outrage. Apparently, he wasn't given enough information to provide the soldiers a mission. After a second night, he said the city's response was an abject failure. Help deployed the National Guard, but only a small contingent were on the ground during a third night. After that night, he mobilized a larger group. Communication breakdown between the governor and the mayor. Trump took credit for sending the National Guard into Minneapolis, even though he actually didn't. Okay. He later denied that he activated the guard due to pressure from Trump. During this crisis, Trump tweeted, "When the looting starts, the shooting starts." Okay. What was this after action assessment? The group found that the police and fire departments, among other things, neglected their own emergency plans and never set up an emergency command structure. That led to poor communication with police officers and firefighters who were out in the streets, and also to inconsistent decision-making by leaders. As an example, Kathy, among other things, supervisors trying to pull fire crews off the street in that week of May 2020 had to resort to phone tree because they were unable to get into a password-protected communication system. They were completed all within a 2-year period. Okay, I'll maybe gather something for that at some point. Okay.
Through his work, Tim, the way I think about it, he really does shine a light on a brighter future that we can build together. In his state, he has been a model chief executive, and with his experience, I'm telling you, Tim Walz will be ready on day one.
I've had this before and liked them. They've lasted me a good 5 years now. Yeah.
In fact, when you compare his resume
The JD Vance. Oh no. Get him.
Shall we? To Trump's running mate. Well, some might say it's like
Oh, she's gonna
a
do it quick.
matchup between the varsity.
Between a it's like a matchup between a woman and someone with XY chromosomes. Imagine the heel turn if she said that. She's doing it. She's doing it.
It's like a matchup between the varsity team and the JV squad.
Okay.
So, Pennsylvania, ultimately in this election, we each face a question. What kind of country do we want to live in? A country of freedom, compassion, and rule of law, or a country of chaos, fear, and hate? And here's the beauty of our democracy. We each have the power to answer that question. We each have the power to answer that question. The power is with the people. We love our country. And I believe it is the highest form of patriotism to fight for the ideals of our country. That is how we preserve the promise of America. And after all, you know, the promise of America is what makes it possible for two middle-class kids, one a daughter of Oakland, California, who was raised by a working mother, the other a son of the Nebraska plains who grew up working on a farm. It's the promise of America, because only in America, is it possible for them together to make it all the way to the White House. Only in America. Only in America. Only in America.
When is he going to talk? Does he not talk? Yeah, sure.
That's right. And so Coach Walz and I may hail from different corners of our great country, but our values are the same.
Oh, this is only the Kamala speech then, because he doesn't talk for this
We
video.
both believe in lifting people up, not knocking them down. He and I, we both know the vast majority of people in our country have so much more in common than what separates them. When we look at folks, we see in our fellow Americans neighbors, not enemies. Not enemies. And so my promise to you is this. Our campaign will reach out to everyone, from red states to blue states, from the heartland to the coast, in rural, urban, suburban, and tribal communities. We are running a campaign on behalf of all Americans. And when elected, we will govern on behalf of all Americans. And so, with Tim Walz by my side, and with all of you at our side, let us fight for the promise of our future. And with that, I ask Pennsylvania, are you ready to make your voices heard?
Yeah.
Do we believe in freedom? Do we believe in opportunity? Do we believe in the promise of America? And are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight, we win!
Oh, did she say fight in a loud voice? Oh, no. Oh no. Are we not going to have to take the temperature down on that one, Ms. Harris? Oh shit. Uh-oh. So what did Tim say? Tim, first speech as running mate. Let's go! He gave a shorter speech. It's only 20 minutes. Okay.
Vice President of the United States, Tim Walz.
Okay, here we go. Radical. You ready to hear the first communist vice president of the United States? Let's go.
Wow. Thank you, Philadelphia. Thank you, Madam Vice President, for the trust you put in me, but maybe more so, thank you for bringing back the joy. I'm thrilled to be on this journey with you and Doug, this incredible journey. And Pennsylvania, I know you know this, but my God, what a treasure you have in Josh Shapiro. Holy hell, can this guy bring the fire? He can bring the fire. This is a visionary leader. Also, I have to tell you, everybody in America knows when you need a bridge fixed, call that guy.
I feel like I'm this one. I feel like he belongs in a sitcom, right? He belongs in a 90s sitcom. As the dad who the audience claps every time he comes into the into the scene for at the beginning of the episode.
And I think sometimes we forget and you see people a little one-dimensional, but seeing a guy who cares so deeply about his family, a man with compassion, vision, and I'll have to tell you this, I know this from experience, there is no one you would rather go to a Springsteen concert in Jersey with than him, than that guy. Roots. And I can't wait for all of you and America to get to know my incredible wife, Gwen, a 29-year public school educator. Don't ever underestimate teachers.
You thought he was going to say 29-year-old. Oh no. Oh no. And don't forget Stalin and his exploits. Hang on. It hasn't gone past everyone in the chat. There is a problem though. There is a big problem that we're going to have to contend with because Republicans are sharp. We're going to wait though. Hang on.
And our two beautiful kids, Hope and Gus.
Hope.
I couldn't be prouder to be on this ticket and to help Vice President Harris become what we all know is very, very good for us to think about. Next President of the United States of America.
Yeah, it's kind of uncanny. And they've definitely never been seen in the same room. And he supports trans rights. And he's blurring the lines between male and female, one tampon at a time. Has anyone seen Nikita Khrushchev recently? Okay.
From her first day as a prosecutor, as a district attorney, Attorney General of the great state of California, a United States Senator, and Vice President of the United States. Vice President Harris has fought on the side of the American people. She took on the predators, she took on the fraudsters, she took down the transnational gangs, she stood up against powerful corporate interests, And she never hesitated to reach across the aisle if it meant improving people's lives. And I want all of you to hold this, and don't ever underestimate the power of this. She does it all with a sense of joy. I know a little something about that commitment to people. I was born in West Point, Nebraska. I lived in Butte, a small town of 400, where community was a way of life.
Butte. Wait, that's in Montana, isn't it? Butte, Montana. Or is there a Butte in Nebraska? Oh, there's a butt in Nebraska as well. How many butts are there in... I'm sorry, it's Beavis and Butthead joke. Okay, let's see. Population 268. Damn, they had a fucking exodus. the Butte exodus of the last 20, 30 years. Why? Why did they leave? Anti-Semitism. Look at it. He's one of the Butte diaspora. That's their downtown, bro. And apparently this is the kind of environment that makes you racist when you're growing up, right?
In Butte, a small town of 400, where community was a way of life. Growing up, I spent the summers working on the family farm. My mom and dad taught us, show generosity towards your neighbors and work for a common good. My dad served in the Army during the Korean War. And with his encouragement, at 17, I joined the Army National Guard. For 24 years, I proudly wore the uniform of this nation. The National Guard gave me purpose. It gave me the strength of a shared commitment to something greater than ourselves. And just as it did for my dad and millions of others, the GI Bill gave me a shot at a college education. My dad was a teacher. My brothers and sisters and I followed in their footsteps. 3 out of 4 of us married teachers. What we do. For nearly 20 years, I had the privilege of teaching high school social studies and coaching football. Including winning that state championship. Don't ever close the yearbook. Don't ever. But it was my students. They encouraged me to run for office. They saw in me a commitment of common good, a belief that one person can make a difference. So in 2006, I took a leap and I ran for Congress. And because high school teachers are super optimistic, I was running in a district that had 1 Democrat since 1892. Well, my neighbors graced me with an opportunity to represent them in the United States House of Representatives. I'm proud of the work we did there together. I worked across the aisle on veterans issues, on agriculture, and on ways to grow rural economies. I learned the art of compromise without compromising my values. And now as governor of the great state of Minnesota, I bring those experiences to bear in tackling the challenges that are facing our great state. Minnesota's strength comes from our values, our commitment to working together, to seeing past our differences, to always being willing to lend a helping hand. Those are the same values I learned on the family farm and tried to instill in my students. I took it to Congress and to the state capitol, and now Vice President Harris and I are running to take those very values to the White House. Now, Donald Trump sees the world a little differently than us. First of all, he doesn't know the first thing about service. He doesn't have time for it because he's too busy serving himself. Again and again and again, Trump weakens our economy to strengthen his own hand. He mocks our laws. He sows chaos and division. And that's to say nothing of his record as president.
Hey. Good
He
one.
froze in the face of the COVID crisis.
Ooh, yep.
He drove our economy into the ground. And make no mistake, violent crime was up under Donald Trump. That's not even counting the crimes he committed.
Oh, they love it.
You know, some of us are.
It's kind of insane that we've gone from like reverse lock him up, only this time it's actually valid because he committed crimes. Whereas like Trump was saying to lock up Hillary over a whole bunch of shit that she pled the fifth for, or she never pled the fifth for anything when she was being questioned and wasn't obviously found of committing any crimes. 8 years later, we're at this. That Trump actually has committed crimes.
Some of us in here are old enough to remember. I see you down there. I see those old white guys. Some of us are old enough to remember.
No, he's slipping. Cultural Marxism just came out. Oh, fuck. Oh, no. He just used Y as a pejorative. He said the W word.
Republicans who were talking about freedom. It turns out now what they meant was the government should be free to invade your doctor's office. In Minnesota, we respect our neighbors and their personal choices that they make. Even if we wouldn't make the same choice for ourselves, there's a golden rule. Mind your own damn business. These guys are after my heart chanting, mind your own damn business. That feels good, so thank you. Look, that includes IVF, and this gets personal for me and my family. When my wife and I decided to have children, we spent years going through infertility treatments. And I remember praying every night for a call for good news. The pit in my stomach when the phone rang, and the agony when we heard that the treatments hadn't worked. So it wasn't by chance that when we welcomed our daughter into the world, we named her Hope. When Vice President and I talk about freedom, we mean the freedom to make your own healthcare decisions. And for our children to be free to go to school without worrying they'll be shot dead in their classrooms. By the way, as you heard, I was one of the best shots in Congress, but in Minnesota, we believe in the Second Amendment, but we also believe in common sense gun violence laws.
Damn.
Vice President Harris' idea of freedom is a ticket for education to be that ticket to the middle class, not crippling debt. Air that's clean, water that's pure, communities that are safe. A place where we settle our political differences not through violence, but with our votes. And that's what this election's about. What direction will this country go in? He's not going back. Well, Donald Trump would damn sure take us backwards. Let's be clear about that. And don't believe him when he plays dumb. He knows exactly what Project 2025 will do to restrict our freedoms. To rig the economy to help the super rich. If Trump gets a chance to return, he's going to pick up exactly where he left off 4 years ago. Only this time, it will be much, much worse. Raising costs on middle-class family. He will repeal the Affordable Care Act, no doubt about it. He'll gut Social Security and Medicare. And when somebody tells you you are, they believe him. He said he'd ban abortion across this country, and he'll do it, whether or not Congress is there or not. Donald Trump's not fighting for you or your family. He never sat at that kitchen table like the one I grew up at, wondering how we were going to pay the bills. He sat at his country club up in Mar-a-Lago, wondering how he can cut taxes for his rich friends. And I got to tell you, his running mate shares his dangerous and backward agenda for this country. J.D. Vance literally wrote the foreword for the architect of the Project 2025 agenda.
I didn't know that.
Like all regular people I grew up with in the heartland, J.D. studied at Yale, had his career funded by Silicon Valley billionaires, and then wrote a bestseller trashing that community. Come on! That's not what middle America is. And I got to tell you, I can't wait to debate the guy. That is, if he's willing to get off the couch and show up. So, you see what I did there?
See what I mean? He's a fucking sitcom character. The facial expressions never... He's a sitcom character. How many faces did he just do there? Like, yeah, he's a nice Bernie. Yeah.
That is, if he's willing to get off the couch and show up. So, you see what I did there?
Look at this guy. This guy in the background. Hang on. Watch this guy in the background. He's actually fucking dead. Look at him.
You see what I did there?
He's having a fit. Look at him.
I got to tell you,
composing himself. Look at him.
Just an observation of mine that I made. I just have to say it. You know it, you feel it. These guys are creepy, and yes, just weird as hell. That's what you see. That's what you see. So you know what's out there. So say it with me. We aren't going back.
Is she praying?
We aren't going back.
She's praying.
We are not going back.
She's looking up. She keeps looking up when she's saying it. And she's got her hands together.
So we got 91 days. My God, that's easy. We'll sleep when we're dead. Over those next 91 days and every day in the White House, I'll have Vice President Harris's back. Every single day.
There.
And we'll have yours. You know how this works. We can't do it alone. We need you, each and every one of you. Go over to KamalaHarris.com, get on board, because we need you. Freedom to make our own choices. This leader, this compassionate, careful, joyous leader believes in each and every one of you. My God, you came here tonight to sit at the very top because you love this country and you're not going back. She believes in the opportunity for every single person to join the middle class. She believes in the promise of America. We just got to fight. We just got to fight. Because as soon to be President Harris says, when we fight, we win. Thank you, Philadelphia. Thank you, Vice President. God bless America.